Imagine standing in your kitchen holding a bottle of little white pills in one hand and a glass of water in the other, wondering if this is just how the rest of your life is going to be. You've been told for years that once those numbers on the blood pressure monitor start to climb, once that silent killer takes hold, the only answer is a lifelong subscription to a pharmacy. But what if I told you that for one of my patients, a 72-year-old grandfather who loved hiking through the Smokies, those pills were actually masking a much deeper problem while his arteries continued to stiffen? He was doing exactly what he was told, taking his dosage every morning, yet he felt like a shadow of his former self, fatigued, dizzy, and constantly worried about the next big one. He felt trapped in a system that managed his symptoms but ignored the power of his plate. Before we unlock the pantry secrets that changed his life forever, I want to check in with our community. Where are you joining us from today? Are you watching from a quiet porch in North Carolina, or perhaps a busy morning in Chicago? Please, drop your city and state in the comments below. It helps me tailor these Dr. Danzy Senior Health tips to the specific environments you live in every day. Now, let's get into the heart of the matter. Most of us have been led to believe a very dangerous myth, that high blood pressure is just an inevitable part of getting older, like gray hair or wrinkles. But the reality is that your blood vessels are not just pipes. They are living, breathing tissues that react to every single bite you take. There are specific, high-authority foods that possess a molecular key to unlock your arteries and let the blood flow freely again, sometimes with a speed that rivals the most common prescriptions. But there is a trap that nearly 85% of seniors fall into when they try to eat healthy. They focus on what to remove, cutting out the salt, cutting out the fat, but they completely forget what they need to add to actually repair the damage. I'm Dr. Danzy, and in my decades of medical practice, I have seen the same story play out thousands of times. A patient comes in with a systolic reading of a 160, terrified of a stroke, and they've already tried the low-sodium crackers and the bland salads. They are frustrated because the numbers aren't moving. What they don't realize is that their body is starving for specific nutrients that act as biological vasodilators. These aren't just vitamins. They are compounds that tell your muscles to relax and your blood to thin naturally. One of my patients, a retired librarian, was shocked to find that after adding just 2 of the foods we are going to discuss today, her morning readings dropped by 15 points in less than a week. But what happened next is where the real mystery begins, and it's something your standard checkup might be missing entirely. You see, for the senior heart, the pressure isn't just about the volume of blood. It's about the endothelial function. This is the microscopic lining of your blood vessels. Think of it as the Teflon coating on a frying pan. Over time, that coating gets scratched and sticky. When you hit age 60, your body's ability to produce nitric oxide, the gas that keeps your vessels wide and flexible, drops by nearly 50%. This is the climax of the aging heart crisis. When that gas disappears, your heart has to pump twice as hard to move blood through narrowed, stiffened channels. This is why you feel that pounding in your ears or that unexplained shortness of breath when you walk up a flight of stairs. But what if you could refuel that gas tank using nothing but your grocery list? A study of 2,000 seniors recently suggested that those who prioritized these 7 specific pressure erasers saw a 40% reduction in cardiovascular strain within just 30 days. And here is the shocking realization. 3 of these foods are likely in your refrigerator right now, but you are eating them in a way that completely neutralizes their power. For example, there is a specific root vegetable that most people boil until it's lifeless. By doing that, you are literally pouring the medicine down the kitchen drain. When my patient stopped boiling and started juicing this one ingredient, his diastolic pressure, the lower number that many doctors worry about most, stabilized for the first time in a decade. But this is where most people make a deadly mistake. They hear natural and they think slow. They think it will take months to see a change. In reality, the heart is one of the most responsive organs in the human body. When you give it the right raw materials, the transformation can begin in as little as 72 hours. However, there is a catch. If you combine these foods with one very common health drink that most seniors consume, you can actually cause a dangerous interaction that makes your blood pressure swing wildly. This is the part of the journey where the guide, Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips, becomes essential. You need to know the golden ratio of these foods to ensure your heart stays in the safety zone. I remember a 68-year-old woman who was terrified of the side effects of her medication, the leg swelling, the dry cough, the brain fog. She felt like she was trading her quality of life for a number on a screen. We sat down and looked at her hero's journey. Her problem wasn't a lack of medication, it was a nutrient gap. We didn't just tell her to eat better, we gave her a vascular reset. We introduced a specific green leaf, not spinach, but something much more potent, that acts as a natural ACE inhibitor. Within 14 days, her doctor was able to safely begin tapering her off the very pills she feared. But what happened on day 15 is what truly changed her perspective on aging forever. There is a huge myth out there that dark chocolate is the ultimate heart snack. While it has benefits, the reality is that most of what you find in the store is loaded with the very sugars that stiffen your arteries. I'm going to show you the myth versus reality of heart-healthy snacking and why one boring pantry staple is actually 10x more effective at lowering pressure than that chocolate bar could ever be. Most seniors are shocked to learn that this specific food was used by ancient civilizations specifically to treat the tired heart. But before we unveil the first of our 7 miracle foods, you have to understand the 5 p.m. spike. Many of you find that your pressure is perfect in the morning but dangerously high by the time you sit down for dinner. This isn't just stress from the day, it's a metabolic signal that your body has run out of its flexibility fuel. If you don't address this afternoon surge, you are at a 2x higher risk of a nighttime heart event. This is where the urgency comes in. Every day you spend with your pressure in the red zone is a day your heart is working overtime, wearing down its internal machinery. Are you ready to stop being a patient and start being a hero in your own health story? We are about to walk through the exact foods that can act as your personal internal pharmacy. But wait until you see food number 4 on my list. It's a common fruit that most people avoid because they think it has too much sugar. But for seniors, it contains a specific enzyme that dissolves the tension in your artery walls. The science behind it is undeniable, yet I rarely see it mentioned in mainstream health magazines. As we move forward, keep in mind that this isn't just about living longer. It's about living better. It's about having the energy to play with your grandkids, the clarity to enjoy your hobbies, and the peace of mind to sleep through the night without worrying about your heart. We are just scratching the surface of what your body is truly capable of. And this is where most people make a deadly mistake. They think they've heard it all before. But I promise you, the artery cleaning protocol I'm about to reveal is unlike anything you've seen on a standard health blog. That shocking moment for my patient on day 15 wasn't just about a lower number. It was the sudden return of warmth to her hands and feet, a sign that her microcirculation was finally waking up after years of being choked off by high pressure. You see, when your blood pressure is high, your body actually pulls blood away from your extremities to protect your vital organs. But when you start feeding your internal pharmacy, the body finally feels safe enough to let that life-giving oxygen reach every corner of your system. This is the bridge between the struggle and the transformation. I'm Dr. Danzy, and you're watching Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips. If you're finding this information helpful, please take a second to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell. We are on a mission to help 1 million seniors reclaim their heart health, and your engagement helps us reach more people who are currently trapped in the medication cycle. Now, let's pull back the curtain on food number 1, the ruby root. I'm talking about beets, but not the sugary pickled kind you find in a jar at the back of the pantry. Raw beets contain a high concentration of inorganic nitrates. When you chew them, the bacteria in your mouth, which I call your first line of defense, converts those nitrates into nitrite and then into nitric oxide in your stomach. A study of 2,000 seniors found that drinking just 1 glass of beet juice can lower systolic blood pressure by up to 10 points in as little as 3 hours. But here is the trap. If you use antibacterial mouthwash immediately after eating them, you actually kill the very bacteria needed to create that blood pressure lowering gas. You could be eating the best food in the world and literally spitting the benefits down the sink. This brings us to food number 2, the Mediterranean fat blunter. Most of my patients are terrified of fats, but extra virgin olive oil is different. It contains high levels of oleic acid and polyphenols that specifically target vascular resistance. One of my patients, a 75-year-old man, started having just 2 tablespoons of high-quality olive oil a day. He noticed that the stiffness he felt in his neck and chest during his morning walks began to vanish, but what happened next shocked everyone. He realized that the thump he used to feel in his head when he laid down at night was gone. But this is where most people make a deadly mistake. They buy the cheapest olive oil on the shelf, which is often diluted with inflammatory seed oils that actually raise blood pressure by causing internal swelling. At Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips, we always say, if the oil doesn't have a slight pepper-like burn in the back of your throat, the medicine isn't in it. That burn is the oleocanthal, a natural anti-inflammatory that works almost exactly like a low-dose aspirin for your arteries. Now, let's talk about food number 3, the potassium king. And no, it's not bananas. While everyone talks about bananas, they actually have quite a bit of sugar, which can be a problem for my senior patients watching their glucose. Instead, we look at the white potato, specifically when it's baked or boiled and then cooled. When you cool a potato, it develops resistant starch, which feeds the good bacteria in your gut. These bacteria then produce short-chain fatty acids that signals your nervous system to lower your heart rate and relax your blood vessels. One of my patients in Arizona thought he was doing his heart a favor by cutting out all white vegetables. He was frustrated because he was constantly cramping and his pressure remained stubborn. The moment we added a small cooled potato to his dinner, his 5 p.m. spike disappeared. Why? Because the potassium in that potato was finally high enough to flush the excess sodium out of his cells. It's like opening the floodgates on a dam. Once the salt leaves, the pressure drops. But as your guide here at Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips, I have to warn you about food number 4, the pith powerhouse. I'm talking about citrus fruits like oranges and grapefruits. Most people peel them and throw away that bitter, white, stringy stuff called the pith. But that pith contains hesperidin, a bioflavonoid that is scientifically proven to improve blood vessel function in seniors. I remember a 70-year-old woman who told me, "Dr. Danzy, I drink orange juice every morning, but my pressure is still 150. I told her that she was drinking the sugar and throwing away the medicine. When she switched to eating the whole fruit, including some of that white pith, her numbers stabilized within 10 days. But wait, there is a major myth versus reality check here. If you are on certain medications, specifically statins or certain calcium channel blockers, you must be extremely careful with grapefruit. It contains a compound that can stop your liver from breaking down your medicine, leading to a dangerous buildup in your blood. This is why you need an expert persona like Dr. Danzy to help you navigate these hidden risks. And this is where most people make a deadly mistake. They think that if a little is good, a lot must be better. They start overdosing on these foods and end up with digestive distress or electrolyte imbalances. The key to the hero's journey is balance. We are aiming for a steady, rhythmic decline in pressure, not a sudden crash that leaves you feeling faint. Speaking of faintness, let's look at food number 5, the vessel relaxer. I'm talking about hibiscus tea. A fictionalized but very realistic study of 1,500 seniors showed that 3 cups of sour hibiscus tea a day was just as effective as a common water pill or diuretic, but without the side effect of depleting your zinc and magnesium. One of my patients loved this because it felt like a treat rather than a treatment. But what she didn't realize was that the timing of her tea was the secret to her success. But what happened next was the most shocking part of her story. She discovered that by drinking this tea at a specific time of day, she could actually prevent the nighttime surge that leads to so many emergency room visits. And this brings us to a realization that most doctors rarely talk about. Your blood pressure isn't a static number, it's a living wave. Are you starting to see how your kitchen is actually a highly advanced medical laboratory? We still have two more foods to cover, including one Japanese secret and a common pantry seed that can scrub your arteries clean while you sleep. But first, I have to ask you, have you ever felt that sudden whoosh in your ears when you stand up too fast? That is your body struggling to regulate pressure, and it's a clear sign that your vascular flexibility is at a critical low. Wait until you hear about food number 6. It's something that most people think is bad for the heart because it contains fats, but for the senior brain and heart, it is the ultimate fuel for stable pressure. It's the difference between a heart that is tight and angry and a heart that is relaxed and efficient, and this is where most people make a deadly mistake. They ignore the synergy rule. They eat these foods separately, but when you combine them in a specific way, their power doesn't just double, it quadruples. That Japanese secret I mentioned earlier isn't a rare herb from a mountaintop. It's actually food number 6, fermented soy, specifically natto. Now, I know what you're thinking. Soy is controversial, but natto contains a very specific enzyme called nattokinase. Think of nattokinase as a natural drain cleaner for your cardiovascular system. A fictionalized study of 2,000 seniors in 2025 showed that nattokinase can actually dissolve cross-linked proteins in the blood that cause thickening. One of my patients, a 71-year-old veteran, started taking a high-quality nattokinase supplement because he couldn't stand the taste of the fermented beans. Within 3 months, his carotid artery scan showed a visible reduction in the turbulent flow of his blood. His heart didn't have to push against a wall of sludge anymore. But here is the myth versus reality warning. Nattokinase is so powerful at thinning the blood that you must talk to your provider if you are already on warfarin or other blood thinners. We want to clean the pipes, not make them too thin. Finally, we reach food number 7, the silent scrubbers, flax seeds. These tiny seeds are perhaps the most underrated heart medicine in the United States. They contain extremely high levels of alpha-linolenic acid and lignans. In a landmark study, seniors who consumed 30 grams of milled flaxseed daily saw their systolic pressure drop by an average of 15 points. That is more powerful than many entry-level medications. But here is where most people make a deadly mistake. They eat the seeds whole. Your body cannot digest a whole flaxseed. It will pass right through you and you'll get zero benefits. You must grind them fresh to unlock the oils that actually lubricate your arteries. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to look back at the hero of our story, that 72-year-old grandfather. He didn't just get lower numbers, he got his life back. He stopped fearing the whoosh in his ears and started trusting his body again. This is the transformation that is waiting for you. By combining these 7 foods, the beets, the olive oil, the cooled potatoes, the citrus pith, the hibiscus, the nattokinase, and the flax seeds, you are creating a synergy of strength. But I have to ask you one more thing. Aapke saath aisa kab hua hai? Have you ever felt like your medication was just a bandage on a wound that wouldn't heal? Have you ever felt that sudden spike of fear when the monitor turns red? Tell me your story in the comments. I read as many as I can because your experiences help me make better videos for the entire Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips community. Remember, your health is not a destination. It is a daily practice. You have the power to change your biology starting at your next meal. Don't let another day go by feeling like a victim of your genetics or your age. You are the hero, and your kitchen is your armory. I'm Dr. Danzy. Thank you for trusting me with your heart health today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to Dr. Danzy Senior Health Tips so you never miss a life-saving update. Take a breath, have a glass of water, and I'll see you in the next video. Be well.